Hey everybody, welcome. Nope. welcome to the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Hi, I'm your host, Tony ntalleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. Click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues. Save the planet. It's the only one we got. Kiddo. Save the planet. It's the only one we got. Cooperate. And good leadership is a round table where everybody has equal say in the matter. Keep that in mind. I'm also published all over the place. ByeByeBlueSky.com, Gag Canada, and throughout the internet. So feel free to look me up anywhere you can. It seems like my profile is getting out there a little bit more these days, especially with all the things we're doing. And I'm encouraged to see that more and more people, excuse me, are waking up and becoming aware and becoming more involved in the ordeal of nano poisoning that's going on a global level. I got a lot of things we're going to cover today. It's just been one of those weeks where this has been my last 3 weeks has been my media week, if you will. I did an orientation in Michigan over the weekend. We had an interview last week, which I was co-interviewed with Bye Bye Blue Sky. I'm going to give you a title. It's called the Romola D Report. She interviewed us last week with Suzanne and myself, and I think it would serve you well to go listen or watch the YouTube video that we did, the interview that we did. It's important that you get the whole gist. We kind of overloaded the host or the host of the show, but it was a good overload, and she needed to hear what we had to say. It's important now that you recognize that we are no longer living in Kansas. We're no longer living in 2018. We're no longer living in that, or sorry, in 1970. We're living in 2018. It's important and it's an imperative that you understand the nature of your adversary so you can best defend against your adversary. And as long as nobody's telling you who the real boogeyman is or who's the real person or who's the real enemy, and we get sidetracked and distracted with all kinds of nonsense, the guy in Korea, the Muslim issue, this and that, and the church issue, and what's Trump doing, what's Trump tweeting, the Prime Minister in Canada wanting to lower the age of anal sex to 16 to 13, and all these stupid things that get in the way of the real battle that's going on a global level. I get calls from everywhere, but I'm going to give you this thing. It's called Need to Know Report number 8. Detox and Stop Depopulation Nanotechnology /aerosols. I'll repeat this. Need to Know Report number 8. Detox and Stop Depopulation Nanotechnology and Aerosols. It was a really good interview. We covered a ton of ground on that interview. And I think if you haven't had a chance to see this information at hand, we covered a lot of things. We covered even the concept of not taking the responsibility for polluting this planet, like some of the musicians and some of the artists are perpetrating today. We, as a civilized people, have had nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, to do with the way the global conditions are occurring today. This has all been manipulated and mismanaged by a hierarchy that has not allowed the proper technology to be released on this planet in order to keep us in a prosperous or in a healthy environment. The planet has been subjected to a hijacking by a hierarchy that has flat out refused to move forward. And I talk about petrol products. I talk about how the products that we're consuming today, the gasoline products that are out to the gasoline motors today, they are so obsolete. They were obsolete in 1950. In 1950, They already had carburation that could give you 100 miles to the gallon. Why isn't that being done today? Back in the 1980s, 1990s, they had hydrogen running cars that ran on hydrogen. Why are we not using that source of fuel today? It's far cleaner, far healthier for the environment, far better on every aspect, even on the wear and tear on the vehicles. Why is the automotive industry still mass producing high volumes of cars which they're not selling, which are then now transporting to islands over in Spain and Portugal and storing all these cars that are not being sold globally? This is insanity. This is again a violation of the environment on such a high magnitude that they're producing vehicles that nobody's buying because, number one, they're not worth the money. They're junk. The price of an automotive vehicle today to produce it costs about $7,000 or $8,000. That price has not changed since the early 80s. Even with the wages increases, the price of the car is still the same. They keep exporting the work abroad where they can get cheaper labor to offset any incremental costs. And why isn't the automotive industry cleaning up its own shit that it's produced for the last 55 years? Look at your lakes, look at your streams, look at the air we're breathing, look at the trees, look at the animals that are in the environment. Why haven't they cleaned up their act? Why are they still producing cars that are just basically a waste of resources? This constant burning of petrol products that have absolutely no merit whatsoever. We don't need to be burning petrol products, yet here we are today burning cars only getting between 28 and 30 miles to a gallon, unless you're getting sort of hybrid, which will get you 60 miles to a gallon. But I mean, we don't even need a hybrid. Why are we still using the internal combustion engine when a turbine motor is far superior on every front, power-wise, performance, economy, and pollution? We could run a steam turbine and get just as much of performance out of that vehicle than you could with an internal combustion engine, and it wouldn't pollute one iota. Yet here we are today, everyone's health being affected, cancers and mutations and all kinds of autoimmune disorders going on as a contributing factor to the health issues of the planet as a result of an industry that has gone awry and is completely toxic. And then they moved to China. Why did they move to China? Have you seen pictures of China? Have you actually taken a hard look at the pictures of China? They have to walk around with air tanks and gas masks and whatnot in order to be able to breathe, because the automotive sector that has left North America went to China and did the same thing there they did in the 1960s in the United States, except it's far worse. They didn't even put the screens up. They're required to reduce the nanoparticles that they released in the atmosphere. So now you've got whole cities over there that are completely engulfed in these nanoparticles that they're breathing. I would say probably a good part of that population in 30 years won't even be around, maybe in 20 years. We are not living in a paradigm that has any kind of moral or ethical aspect to this planet or to us. In fact, I seriously consider all the time that we have been invaded by some unforeseen force that has injected all these things in our environment, in the very population itself, creating the havoc it's creating, causing basically the existence of mankind to come to a quick termination. That's how I'm perceiving this. You don't spray the skies. I don't believe we have people capable of being that stupid to fumigate their own population. I don't believe that we have people that stupid that would poison their own food supply or water table, or inject frequencies from towers, Wi-Fi, cell phones that would disrupt and destroy the very core of the foundation of a person's health by attacking their DNA. This is all an extreme violation, and I would say an invasion, a direct invasion on everybody's personage. You might want to reevaluate some of the things you're seeing on television. I was watching I went to rewatch Genesee, Terminator Genesee, and I just about flipped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing there. The whole concept of an AI Genesee system, which is, I forget what they called the system, but it was an AI system that took over. And once it took over, completely took over, Judgment Day happened. Now, who in their right bloody mind would create a system that can, an operating system that now would be given the capacity to program its own parameters, upgrade itself, do things all on its own? Who would be this stupid to do this, to relinquish your hold on a planet, your own planet? That's where we're at today. Some of you might be alarmed. Some of you might be afraid. I always say that's good. I like hearing that you're afraid. I like hearing the fact that this is bothering you. That means you're still alive. That means you're still functioning. That still means you can still think. When we're looking at all the wonderful things that are going on, here's something I got today in the email. Again, this is on the YouTube. Seizures in dogs, cats, and humans on the rise. This is why. We can't keep pumping these high-end frequencies and not think we're not going to be affected, especially today when we are loaded with nanometals of all sizes and shapes and different materials, from iodine to copper to zinc to silver to gold to copper, iridium, cadmium, titanium, barium, aluminum, all these are on nano scale. And they all attach themselves to your body and cause major disruption on a genetic level, on the DNA level, and then it attaches themselves to your brain and then creates a complete meltdown of your system. Adding on top of that a frequency that can continue to activate these things off and on throughout the day or throughout the night. Can't sleep because you're being activated. You can't, function because you're being activated. And some of you ask some of the most ridiculous questions about, well, what about, are they getting it too? Seriously, give your head a shake. They're assaulting you. They're violating you. They're distracting you and deceiving you. They're misleading you. They're taking you to the abyss. And you're worried about them? And you're worried about them. So when we're looking at, about what you should be concerned with, you should be concerned with you. You should be concerned with the planet because you live on it. You should be concerned about the leadership, that if they're not representing the balanced equation between economics and environment, then they shouldn't be in office. And if they cannot balance between marketing pharmaceutical drugs and actual practice of successful medicine, where medicine actually heals people and creates a healing environment, not some environment where you have to keep on buying drugs, they don't belong there. In fact, the general population should start thinking about leaders that they can put in power to remove these glorified globalists that are being paid to continue to violate the rest of us while they're in that position. It's a concept and a thought. I want you to be aware of that again, seizures in dogs and cats and humans on the rise. And you're trying to figure out why this is going on. You can't put barium, aluminum, nano silver, nano copper, nano iodine, nano barium, nano titanium, none of these things can get into should be getting into the brain. And if they do, you are going to have seizures. You're breathing this stuff in, and if you're not detoxing it out, it will accumulate and assemble inside your system. You are not dealing with just metal. You are dealing with a relatively new phenomenon, synthetic life, nanobiology. You know, Gwen Scott used to call it pseudo-life, to appease her colleague. So again, I would suggest you pay attention. You pay attention, you pay attention, you pay attention. You do not have the luxury today in regard to what's going on and turning a blind eye to it, because the longer you look away, the more you are being contaminated, and the more the effects of this contamination is overriding your genetic code. And there is no, once it gets to a certain point, you will be screaming, hollering, begging, crying, whatever you would do to God to take your life. You'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, I'm going to put something in the chat room there. This is it's called www.fbcoverup.com docs cyber hijack findings.html. Let's see if I can find another title. Finding of facts, timeline, and database. Let me see here. Basically, this is a historical collection of how things went bad, when they went bad, who created the problem. And again, it's not us. I want to reiterate this very strongly. If you hear any musician, any politician, any minister on a pulpit, I don't care if he's a cleric in an Islamic temple, I don't care if they're a rabbi in a Jewish temple, I don't care if they're a priest in a Catholic church, I don't care if they're a minister on television or in a fellowship. If anybody is telling you that you are responsible for the way of this planet's conditioned because of your consumerism, because of the way you buy things, you're always buying, then turn around and say to that person, what control did I have? What choice was I given? I wasn't given a choice of what type of car to buy. I had to buy these type of cars that created this type of toxicity to our environment, because the government leadership did not have enough testicular fortitude to enforce with General Motors, Chrysler, and the rest, and the oil companies like Standard Oil, did not have enough testicular fortitude to tell them to back down, produce cars that would give us 70, 80, and 90 miles to a gallon, 100 miles, because they already had the tech in 1950. So if they say, well, we're 20 years away from that, that's a lot of horse hockey. A lot of horse hockey. And you have to wake up to this. Don't listen to these people on the television, especially the television, because all they're going to do is lie to you. They're going to paint a picture so that in your mind you will fall into this under that hypnosis and follow the horse hockey wherever they tell you. You do not have that luxury. Stay sober-minded. Stay awake. Get active in resolving and solving the issues. Come up with a car that can be a turbine that can run on air. The East Indians did it. How come we can't? What's going on? How come they can build a car that can run on air and doesn't pollute? Why is that being done there? Why isn't that being done here? Why was that never initiated? See, again, take the initiative. And again, if you're dealing with chemtrails and you're dealing with antennas and frequencies, then maybe you need to start looking at building a anti-negative or anti-frequency device. Help other people become free. Get active. If you don't know how, go study. Go read the patents. Go do your research. Do a file type PDF search. Do a university study. Just type in the search on where the search engine is. You might be surprised at what you might find that you can do. Collaborate. It's important you collaborate with each other. This way you can come come up with better ideas to resolve some of the issues you're dealing with. All right, I'm going to continue here. I'm going to give you some more information. There's a link. Well, again, I'll just read this to you. Hydrolyte electrolyte replacement for young calves, lambs, kids, and foals. Okay, this is for those living in the United States, because we got a different version, but it's the same exact stuff. I looked at it. It's called Hydrolyte, HYDRALYTE. Those of you who have been afflicted with the nano poisoning, you may want to start using these electrolytes. You know what I mean? These minerals have to be restored back into the body, irrespective of what you're using to pull it out. Minerals and nutrients have to be restored. You've been depleted so badly and so heavily for such a long time with this technology that a lot of you don't have organs that are functioning. Pancreas is shot, lungs are shot, thymus is shot, thyroid is shot, your bladder is shot, your spleen is shot. You know, why is that happening? And some of you are relatively young, 30s and 40s. This should not be happening. Don't accept your lot in life. That's what will get you in trouble. You know, ask, like I said, you know, questions. Focus on those questions. Come up with answers. Build on those answers. It's really imperative. So again, this is for, again, it's a Hydrolyte electrolyte replacement. Again, it's for young calves and lambs, kids and foals. So again, follow the procedure. You don't have to make the whole thing at once. But again, this is something you might want to consider as far as getting your minerals back and helping you stand up and take a hold of everything. There's something else I wanted to talk about. Okay, we got that. Where else here? There was another thing that got my attention today. Guess maybe we hit it. All right, we may have already hit it. All right, now, low-calorie diet enhances intestinal regeneration after injury. This is true with any affliction. Any affliction you're dealing with, this can be true. The moment you quit eating sometimes, because sometimes you guys want to put food in people's mouths and kids' mouths and they don't want to eat, don't force it. Don't force it. Their body is trying to process what is inside of it and maybe looking for something to help with the process. So again, keep your eye on them if you get stuff. But at the same token, like I said, you know, if you don't want to eat, don't worry about it. If a child doesn't want to eat, don't worry about it. They're not going to die if they miss a meal. And sometimes missing the meal is what causes the body to regenerate faster because it no longer has to worry about processing, especially in the intestines. So it's important that we understand that if you're not eating that much and you've got a compromised colon, it has an opportunity to repair itself, provided you give the colon what it needs to repair, like yogurt, kefir, things of this nature. So again, pay close attention to what's going on. You know, keep that in mind that we are no longer living in the realm of 2018. We didn't have to peel the apples and scrub them and then juice them and then filter them in order to access the nutritional value of these things. We could just go and get what we needed, go home and start eating. Now you can't do that anymore. And probably even then we couldn't do it either, but we were, again, been so brainwashed just to go and consume and consume and consume and consume. We don't stop to think that maybe we shouldn't be consuming. Maybe we should be reading. You know, maybe we should be reading. So again, it's important that we understand the nature of how we're being assaulted. The whys of how you're being assaulted, that may come in handy as well. But the fact that you are assaulted, you may need to, like I said, look at options that you have, like I said, the grounding cable, the grounding platform, different things going. All right, come on back. I hear the music. Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony ntalleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Again, we were talking about different things, different influences that we have. Like I said, when we did that interview with Romola, I pointed out in the interview that I always will give you the part of the fan that spreads the impact. You know what I mean? We are always under the gun, and again, you need to know how you are under the gun, and you need to know how to avoid getting shot by that gun or getting impacted by that gun. You know, it's imperative that we start understanding that the nature of frequencies and how frequencies are affecting us. How through frequencies things can manifest inside of you that isn't there. But you know, when you feel something and you know you're feeling something, it's very hard to disengage yourself from the concept that possibly it's being brought in by a frequency. You know, a lot of you are not sleeping anymore. That can itself cause mental confusion. You know, until you can get that sleep that you need. But a lot of you will understand too as time goes on that you don't need as much sleep as you think you do. In fact, there are days where you may not feel like you want to sleep. That's probably more the norm. Everything that we've been taught today has been in some form or other completely hijacked. I mean, it's incredible when we look at this level of deception, the level of deception that we are involved with in today's time, and how deceived the whole planet has become, and how the initiation of what's coming down on the planet is being done, and how it was done before. You know, it's a wonder. Like I said, it's a real wonder. And again, understanding that whole wonderment in regard to how that's affecting us, how that's affecting all of us, how that's affecting what we're doing, what we're eating, what we're breathing. You know, when we're looking at today in regard to retirement, how many of you actually believe you're going to retire? How many actually believe you're going to retire? How many actually believe that you're in time you're going to be able to retire with a pension from the company you're with? How many actually believe that? The paradigm has shifted. The paradigm has shifted. Those things no longer exist. You're not working for yourself and putting stuff aside. Chances are your pension is not going to be adequate in any way, shape, or form, and it's going to force you to keep on working way past the time of your retirement. Retirement may not exist either these days. Keep that in mind. It's like it may not even exist these days because, like I said, everything is being turned tipsy-turvy, topsy-turvy. You know, and again, it's an important fact or factor in regard to your personal health and how you go about having a game plan for it. You know what I mean? You can't just today allow a corporation or a company to take care of you. Not going to happen. In fact, the corporations and companies today would prefer if you once you retired, you're done. That's where we're at today. You know, that's what's going on today. So like I said, when we're looking at all the wonderful things that we're having to deal with today on so many different levels, it's important, like I said, that you start learning how to get prepared. When we talk about prepping, we will go and buy all kinds of foods, store all kinds of foods, and not even read the label to think that maybe what you're storing is a poison, so that when there's a food supply shortage and you go to eat your materials that you've prepped, you have now poisoned yourself with these materials. As a result, you get sick and something may happen, cancers or whatever, and there's nothing there to help you get over it. So again, in your preparation, be careful in how you prepare. Even with the things that we're talking about today, understanding the nature of frequencies, understanding the nature of what we're dealing with, and then learning how these frequencies can activate your cells, your DNA, your genetic code, your mitochondria, and how you can maybe create an anomaly in your body to reject any activation or to divert it. This is where it's at today. This is what we have to do today. Guns are not only going to be good for hunting. If the military comes after you, I assure you they'll come after you with a swarm. You'll never know what hit you. Never know what hit you. And again, this is imperative that you understand that. Don't get caught up on the illusion of television that you're going to be John Wayne and you're going to save the day because you're going to come in with your bullets and guns roaring and flames are going to be shooting out of the barrel, and all of a sudden you're the hero. That's the illusion they have painted. Okay, that's the illusion they painted, that you're going to have that gun that's going to stop everything. If you haven't looked at AI is Killing Us by Jay Tuck, go ahead and take a look, because I think this is where a lot of you have to recognize and see what's going on and get what's going on. Like I said, today has been one of those days where I've gotten information from all over, and it actually changed the theme of the show today, because I thought maybe we should get into these things too, so that you're aware that this is not just going on here. I mean, titanium dioxide now is being found in the food supply down in Australia and New Zealand. Those in Australia there who are hearing the show, you can look it up. They're talking about how the Ministry of Health down there, or whatever they're called, doesn't even want to test the foods. They found 14 foods already over there that are loaded with this nano. And the nano is titanium dioxide. Why is titanium dioxide the choice? Because it's a whitening agent, and when little boys and males eat these metals, which are nano, they bypass the blood barrier of the testicles. You now have no more testicles. You are no longer have the capacity to have erections, to reproduce your genetic code, or to share your DNA with somebody. Can you imagine that? And this is down in the land down under with all the thunder. You know, again, it's important that you know who your adversary is. Your adversary isn't the neighbor next door. Your adversary isn't the person being an ass with you at this point in time. The adversary today is, again, those who have allowed or given the heads up by turning a blind eye to the planet's capacity of being violated. I mean, the violations that are there is just unbelievable. When you got rivers, lakes, and streams that are being affected and are become tributaries to a bigger pile of water, they carry all that. I was talking to a guy in Facebook, and he was trying to make a comment about, I made a comment about vegans being responsible for the problems. I said, yeah, vegans are responsible for the problems. If they don't have enough food, if they don't have enough land to plant food, they're going to cut down those trees. When they cut down those trees, you and I have one less tree to help us breathe. Then when they plant the crop, they're spraying more glyphosates and 2D4M, 2,4-D, atrazine, and a whole host of other things, plus nanosilver, titanium dioxide and other things. So what happens then? What happens with this concept of, then they're worried about a couple hundred gallons from hamburger, and you got, like I said, lakes and streams loaded with metric tons of water that have now become corrupt. This is important, that you start thinking clearer, that you understand the nature of how the planet has become violated. The ideas today that we have to be revamped. We have to incorporate nanotechnology, nanobiology, synthetic biology, frequency, activating frequencies to this nano. Okay, when we're looking at what we can do, start looking at being off-grid, but being off-grid as well as developing off-grid ideas. It's important that you understand the year we're in, 2018, not 1970. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but you know what? I keep getting people all the time asking me questions. Well, what about? You know what's interesting? I had a woman today come in to see me in the shop. She had a health issue, and so I explained to her about the chemtrails and how they self-assemble, self-replicate. And I had to repeat myself 3 or 4 times before she finally got it. And so I'm beginning to see more and more the impact of having cartoons, because cartoons are a wonderful way of creating a meme or whatever, and you can put whatever you want on there in a cartoon fashion with the message there being published, so that people all over can again access and pray or do whatever it is they do. And again, if there's people who are coming a long way, bringing in their basics, again, it's a concept, again, to do the same thing. They're getting off grid and they're coming up with their own methods of, again, evolving, changing. This is where we got to start thinking. Try to get your kids away from the technical equipment, because the technical equipment is what's causing them to stay brainwashed. How many remember Lost in Space? How many remember Lost in Space? This just hit me right now. Lost in Space, for some of you who are not that old, was a TV series back in the 60s, I believe, about a family that was sent up into space, and then a meteor storm or something, a solar flare, caused the rocket to, or the sphere to veer off in a whole different dimension, a different direction. And in there was a scenario one time where the youngest son and the youngest daughter got involved with these aliens, and they got them singing and dancing, and they were singing and dancing like they were partying down in a dance hall. What happened, what was going on there, their life forces were being sucked out of them while they were involved in that theme there. The music, the words to the music, everything about it was causing them to have a major meltdown in regard to frequency exposure. The same technology they were advertising back then in the 60s has now become a reality today. So, like I said, when we're dealing with stuff today, let's deal with it accordingly. Let's deal with what we're dealing with, like we're looking at what we're dealing with. Take a look at that nano. And again, for those of you who haven't been to my site, augmentinforce.com, and then look at the nano selection in the bottom, you'll find there's a plethora of information for you to take a look at. And don't stop there, continue on. There's a lot more where that came from as far as your research and development go. But if you followed any of these things and saw the patterns, you would see what is really going on. So, like I said, we have to be aware of these things, have to be aware of a lot of different things like we never were aware before. Common sense has got to be more common than it's ever been. You can't rely on the system. You cannot rely on the system that's going to take care of you. You cannot rely on any aspect of the system, because it will betray you. It's done it in North America, Canada, United States. You have people who work all their lives, save, skim, whatever, buy a little place, and they can't afford to live there because they don't have the big money income. So then sometimes what happens is they work together to form another venue for living, or again the obstructions that are there again get removed. But again, this is all about, like I said, getting it together and moving forward. Knowing what we're dealing with. We don't have luxuries anymore and wasting time with idiosyncrasies, non-consequential debates. The food supply, no matter where you're buying it today, has been contaminated. Doesn't matter. Organic or not organic, grocery chains from either side makes no difference. So when they say they're trying to sell you an organic product today, you may want to really reconsider how organic it really is. It's orgasmically organic. Orgasmically organic. There was something else I wanted to hit on today. I gotta find it. Hold on a second. Well, I sent you a link, like I said, the www.fbcoverup.com about Doc's hyperjack and cyberjack findings and all the different things that used to be in place that people are still assuming are in place but no longer are. I'll read one. President George Washington was awarded the first patent. I guess Syngenta or Symbis bought it from him. Gave him the money. So again, the more you see these guys out there, the more you need to recognize that gives you an opportunity to talk to them about what's going on and why it is going on the way it's going on. You know, see what they answer you. Well, everybody else is doing it. Again, pay attention, because with the magnets, you can create a magnetic field around you that can maybe offset a direct hit or direct attack. But again, it's designed again to when we're looking at the materials that we're looking at for shielding or whatever, they're designed to again block or deflect. Again, keep that in mind. Look at materials for creating Faraday cages and shields while you sleep. Make rooms that have shielding so that when you come home from a day's work, you can go in there and then discharge the buildup of these frequencies by having grounding cables or aluminum that you can step on or whatever, and then create it so that again it has a capacity to deflect whatever's maybe coming in through the house into that material. This is another idea, another concept for you to help you with your debating. Some of you are not sleeping. So you may want to wear a grounding strap and connect it to a direct ground by you, or have a fan that you can create a, well, I was going to save that for some other time, but again, making a fan where you can create a vortex and then sticking that underneath the bed or in your room, having several of them so that it can create a blocking by creating fields around it that can then stop whatever is coming at it. You know, so that you can sleep. So in other words, if you're getting hit while you're sleeping, this will create a deflector kind of thing. And that's what we need to start thinking in terms of. When you're walking outside, have a deflector, have some kind of deflector on you. You may not need to have the frequency ranges that they're in, but if I have a frequency and you have a deflector on you, it's going to deflect it away or maybe deflect it back. So again, these are things that you might want to go with. You got kids today growing up. You don't want their genetic code damaged. You don't want their DNA damaged. You know, you don't want them to have problems with their mitochondria. Again, this is important that you recognize that we are living in a real rough time. The aspects of protecting your system with the food supply, again, is another thing you have to look at today. You know, juicing your juices and then filtering them with oil. Coming up with things of detoxing the body as well, like these basin solutions, and using triangles and using buckets and using whatever, again, you can get a hold of that will produce a pulse electromagnetic field or electromagnetic pulse. This is something important because if you have that around you, doesn't matter where you go, you can create the discharge required for the system to like I said, purge itself or clean itself or whatever. It's interesting. Today's the first time in a long time I'm doing the show and I'm getting hit with frequencies. The frequencies are changing and the air is actually heating up here, and I think we're going to get rain or we're going to get some kind of change. Usually when they start pitching really high in our area here, then our weather starts to change. So it's really interesting that this is happening today. This has been going on all throughout the show. I've been fighting it, kind of thing. Pay attention to how to defend. Pay attention to how to offend. Be offensive. Pay attention, and again, how you grow your food, where you buy your food, how you process your food, because this is going to be a big changer. Imagine if you guys grow hydroponics or aquaponics in your backyards or in a garage, and you get it all set up, and there's 3 or 4 of you in, let's say, down the street. That's great if you guys can collaborate together to collect the money to pay off your bills, and as well as at the same time take some of that money and create something else that can actually mitigate any influence from nano. See, these are some things that make me wonder whether, how we should be going about things, how we should be approaching things. Because the nano is going to be there. You're going to see it. It's going to expand. It's going to grow. You're going to eventually see lesions and other things happen under the 5G protocol. So again, things ain't what they used to be. 20 years ago, this technology, or 30 years ago, this technology would never have even been considered because of the volume of danger that it was occurring in it. Now, it's like the president says, go for it, blah, 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 and you can't. You got to, like I said, you got to start thinking. Stop the nano, stop the assembly, stop the biology, stop what's going on. And defend. Whole different paradigm. Okay, you got the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Again, give them your support. Help them out any way you can. This is one of the few networks still out there that is doing it right, getting it out to you, and helping you to stay on top. Bye Bye Blue Sky is going to be at the Green Living Show in Toronto, and I'm going to be there as well with her. Just a guy who knows some stuff. April 6th through the 8th. Hey, it's not that far away. Man, I've been talking about this for a couple months. So I've got people that actually been calling me up saying, yeah, we're going to come see you. So hopefully we get a good turnout of people that come see us, and maybe we can create an uproar there. Everybody that's awake that comes to see us at the Green Show, then you can start talking to people, about whatever, chemtrails and nanoparticles and nanopollution and synthetic biology, and because by that time you guys will be all experts and you'll have to know what to say. So again, let me remind you, Bye Bye Blue Sky is back at 2018 Green Living Show in Toronto, April 6th through 8th. Again, it'll be up on the 8th floor kind of thing. No, where was it? It was on the 2nd floor last time. So you catch an escalator and away you go. I'll be there. Susan Mara will be there, and another couple activists will be there. So stay tuned. We'll be there. So again, you got me here at 519-977-5351 or independz@yahoo.com. If you go to my website at augmentedforce.com, there is a catalog link. Feel free to click it. Feel free to open up things and go check things out. Again, we got a flash drive, we've got the bucket, we've got the triangles, we've got the repulsor units. We got it all here. So if you need any information, if you need to make a purchase or contact me through the email. Let me know what you want. If you contact me for a consultation, not only let me know what you want, but give me the time zone you're in so we can go from there. Alrighty, we got that all in? Yeah, we did. Okay, like I said, preparation today, understanding the nature of the attack. Your pets are being, again, hit with things that are giving them seizures. People are getting hit with the same kind of stuff. Seizures are forming because of the channels are being blocked in the brain that should be getting blood flow. And as soon as they fire that up, it causes a complete disarray in how the brain functionality works. And again, it can make a difference wearing some kind of shielding even when you're outdoors. Maybe next video or next show we'll talk about how we can make a headpiece so while you're even meditating, nothing can come in. Basically, you have something that can keep things out, and in the circles or the other circles that I'll have, will again showing you what these things are. You can see as well the patterns of some of the things that we need to do. The triangles, the bucket, they will help go a long way in removing things. The flash drive will go a long way in educating you things. Again, even the books on DVD are there, so feel free to access any of this information. So we'll bring some of this stuff up to the Green Show as well, so it'll be there. So again, feel free to check out the site, augmentedforce.com, and again, augmentedforce.50webs.com or augmentedforce.com. Check out the site and go from there. All right, It is what it is today. You know, those of you from the 50s, again, it is what it is today. You need to use your head. Disregard opinions. Opinions are like backsides. Everybody has one, you know. Keep it together. All right. Now hear the music. So again, we'll see you Thursday. Till then, study, 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 and come up with ideas and stay networked. All right. You take care.